Paul Greenberg.
You're not hallucinating. It is the CRM players, but it is Friday brunch time instead of Thursday usual time.
I mean, we did one on Thursday, breakfast time. So we figured it was time to do brunch. The next one we'll do is probably lunchtime. Then we'll go to dinner. And then we'll just have like an after hour snack time.
Well, since this is our like very first, I think we're calling it brunch with the players.
Yeah.
You got to have something to eat. That first last week was going to be breakfast. Couldn't do it last week, so I was already had my breakfast bagels ready. But since it's brunch, you kind of have to have a little breakfast and a little lunch kind of thing. And so I went to the market today and look at that.
Einstein Brothers and Blue 280 calories. What a 280 wasted calories. Look at that. I'd say, well, that's not true. I'd say maybe 100 calories are wasted, meaning the blueberries, and the bagel part you could eat without the blueberries, and then it would be all right.
But anyway, so I snagged that, and look what I have right here.
Wait. What do you have on it? You actually have something on it.
So I was originally thinking maybe I would do, since it's brunch, I'd do like a bagel burger combination, but I didn't really want the red meat, so I went with a turkey bagel.
You have cheese, blueberry bagel and turkey
and cheese.
You literally have hit the depths. I mean, that's literally Dante actually includes you in his purgatory on the way to hell thing.
So good. Here's the bagels, man.
Oh my God, a blueberry. That's even more. If you had put on, say, one of those fruit cream cheese mix things or something like that, I would have been able to tolerate that combination. But oh my God, turkey cheese and a blueberry bagel. That is disgusting. That is truly disgusting.
Little light layer of can't believe it's not butter.
I may have to ask Alan about his. I mean, Alan's Jewish, so I'm going to see what his thinking is on blueberry bagels. Look, there are occasional people of my faith who like them. I mean, there are, and we're very tolerant. But
hey, they don't just put any old flavor bagel in the Publix down here. There was only like 3.
Apparently,
they do. You had the plain. You had the cinnamon and raisin. Blueberry, and I was
plain cinnamon raisin and blue. That is like they're catering to a public that likes dessert.
I think
selling bagel.
I really do think I snagged the last blueberry bagel too. So I'm just.
I know the other ones had to be thrown out.
They're a very popular breed.
They were thrown out.
This is Bob Fagel. He sent me a background like of your man cave to make it look like I'm eating blueberry bagels in your man cave, but. I thought that might be a bit too far.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway,
that's sacred ground.
We are CRM players. This is a special, brunch edition, and we for the last 2 years, every year around this time, we have a chance to do a full-blown episode with Alan Trefler, who is the CEO and founder of Pegasystems, but we all call it Pega. And it's always kind of leading up to PegaWorld. And so in a few minutes, we will be joined by the one and only Alan Trefler to talk about whatever, because this is actually the 40th anniversary year of him starting Pega. How about that?
That's amazing. I have to say, he's done a lot of these things right. He's taken a company that started in a completely different place than it is now, navigated it forward as the world changed. And, he was incredibly successful with what he's done. And as that world changed, and he changed kind of the mission of the, or the direction of the company, he always had a strong corporate narrative for that made the change seem plausible. And when I say that, I'm not saying that lightly, because a lot of companies mess up royally when it comes to why did you go in that direction, given you've been here. They can't really explain it or don't, and they lose customers. In this, because the customers lose faith in them because they came in for another reason. Allen's doesn't lose customers. Pega doesn't lose customers much. I mean, like any other company, there's always some attrition, but the narrative's always been beautiful. Really, it's been a superb narrative.
Oh, let's see.
Hi, Susie. How you doing, man? Scott Rogers must be here.
Oh, okay. I didn't see. I didn't see him say anything. All right. Well, hi to Scott and Susie.
Hey, well, Susie and Scott and I were all working together at David's Bridal.
Oh, okay. Got it.
Go way back. Susie's awesome.
Very cool. Awesome. Well, before we jump in and get Alan on with us, hopefully he'll be able to join us shortly. Couple of things. We always have the couple of things we need to pitch now that we're PPN, right? So
that's right.
Check out
now that we're competing with CNN.
Yeah, CNN, ESPN, whatever.
Well, pretty soon we won't have to worry about any of those guys. We'll be the only ones left standing.
Yeah, which is
Fox, CNN, or.
But here's what's coming up next week. Look at that. Talk about that a little bit.
Well, at least one of the pictures is very frightening.
What?
Actually, two of them are very frightening.
Why are they frightening?
Well, take a look. Like, actually, all three of them are frightening. Raju, who is, of course, spectacular friend of ours at Zoho, Raju looks like he's off in the distance. Hey, Adrian, how you doing, man? Another awesome influencer, analyst, thought leader, just amazing person. Raju's off looking like, I got a plan, and part of that plan may be to get you, right? And then Grad looks like he's about ready to rub his hands together like this and say, ha, ha, ha. And Michael's thinking, I know what you're thinking, Grad, and we can do that, and they'll never see it coming.
Wow. You got all of that from those pictures?
Yeah, I sure did.
Man.
Well, shows you what happens when you don't sleep much.
So in the hot seat, Raju Fagesna, that'll be next Monday. And I'm looking forward to that. He's going to be talking about capitalism and corporate culture and, things that he's really deeply passionate about. I want to see how hot the seat gets, though. I mean, quite honestly, they're going to have a tough time getting that seat warm for him, because I think both Mike and Thomas kind of are in agreement with a lot of those philosophies. So.
Yeah, I know. I mean, let's just say this: in the hot seat will only be hot if somebody puts a warmer on the seat.
But, and I do see our guest is in the green room, so good to see you. We'll be
Alan.
Shortly. But just to give you folks a little taste of what's going on with Raju and Zoho, you and I actually had an opportunity to speak with him. It was a couple of weeks ago. Let me get rid of the picture here for a second. At Zoholics Austin. And one of the things that they announced, which I think kind of took some people by surprise, was the new ULA. Am I saying that right? ULA? ULA browser. And so what people are like, and there were analysts in the room that were like, why is Zoho doing a browser? Remember that kind of, there's some looks. Yeah. So of course we had to ask him about it. And this is what he said.
He has become, non-existent, and browser for the most part is become a surveillance tool. And we felt we weren't very comfortable with that. We wanted, we are very privacy friendly, or we take care of privacy, and it's important that we as consumers have a tool that we can trust, and that is non-existent in the market. And most browser vendors also have ad-based business models. Browser really has to be done by companies that protect users' privacy and that have a good business model to support it. Unfortunately, that's not the case in the current market. So that's where we said we got to do a browser and act on behalf of the user. and launch it. I've been personally using it for the last 2 years, and we have been internally within Zoho that has been default browser for majority of the company. And now we went through phases. So we said, yeah, we are confident to roll it out. There are other people outside of Zoho who will be interested, not just for work, just for personal use. And so with that, yeah, it's time to roll it out.
I love the look when they kind of rolled it out on not all but some of them, because it's almost like this is like, why are they doing this? It feels like it's coming out of the blue. And if you notice in that clip, he said that he's been using it personally for the last 2 years internally. Mm-hmm. So it's not like this is something that was just a spur of a moment thought. This is something that they think about things very long and deep before they actually act on it.
Oh, so yeah. And it's one last thing before I bring Alan on related to ULA is it's now become my browser. And basically, if you use Chrome, you use ULA. It's literally the same thing with more to it. It's basically Chrome on privacy and security steroids. And it actually solved a driver problem I had with a sound driver on Chrome that works on ULA, doesn't work on Chrome, which is shocking given that you literally, other than a couple little things, not know the difference. So, yeah, but I highly recommend it.
I mean, we're using it for this show right now. So that tells you it's secure. I actually tried it out about a year ago. But now that they have officially rolled it out, I'm very excited because once again, it fits their corporate culture and their stance on privacy. And one of the things that one of the questions that came up was, well, I mean, do you really expect this to compete with Chrome or with Internet Explorer, with Safari, all those? And I love the answer. It's like, well, it's not necessarily about competing with them. It's about giving folks who have real concerns about privacy an option. Yeah. And so I love that stance, and I love a company like Zoho for doing that kind of thing. All right. So coming up next month, for the first time in I think 4 years, is an actual face-to-face PegaWorld. Virtual is cool, but I am really looking forward to the actual people coming together again at MGM. I haven't been to MGM in 4 years. That's kind of a good and a bad thing, but I'm really looking forward to it for Pega. What about you?
Oh, are you kidding? Yeah, I used to love PegaWorld when it was live. It was among my favorites. First, it was they arguably had the best customer stories I ever heard. And it was actually they actually had, thanks to Don and Alan and some others, they actually had a lot of humor built in. So not only was it valuable, it was entertaining too, both. And that you come out of it just feeling pretty damn good about both what you just saw and Pega. So it was one of the better conferences I would go to, and to your point, always look forward to.
By the way, Sahil, it's just a little bit of brunch. That's all. It's a special CRM Playaz brunch with the players. It's always special when we have Alan join us. So that's it. We just kind of have a little fun, get a chance to spend some time with Alan Trefler. And before we bring him on, because we did have him on the last couple of years,
I know I literally know what's coming.
So I thought it'd be kind of fun to revisit just a couple of short clips. One from 2021 and one from last year. Let's go to the first one, because this is where Alan kind of talks about what they do for customers and how they've been able to keep customers long, and in particular their first two customers.
Things that I'm really proud of is that my first two customers, who went live in 1984, God forbid, are still customers to this day. Bank of America and Citibank, and much larger customers. We're still doing the stuff we did for them originally, though literally in both cases, many dozens of other things as well. I think part of it was the understanding that there is a continuum that reaches out from the core skill set we had of being able to get work done to touching the actual clients and touching what the clients are aspiring for and trying to do. And with the introduction over the years, as we have, of being able to do the front office CRM type things, but understanding it really wants to be hooked in to being able to do things end to end, and then adding the AI capabilities and a lot of the adaptive analytics and other things that literally got you into the mind of your customers or their customers. What we're looking to do is create a holistic vision for our customers. And, that's what's kept us, I think, honest and, really engaged.
All right. So that was 2021. And, this is the 40-year anniversary mark. And we're going to have to ask them right off the bat. That they still have to cut with. Well,
That's exactly what I was thinking too.
We'll get into that when he comes.
Just be
on.
ready, Alan. You know the first question.
And the other thing you noticed, we had our old logo. Did you notice the old logo was?
Yes,
still there?
I did.
And I was looking in a completely different direction than I am now.
I had a completely blank background.
Look, so all right, so that was 2021. We also had a conversation with Alan last year, and one of this clip here is actually, I think, the clip that got the most views of all last year. And when we asked Alan about his thoughts on the metaverse, so
this became iconic.
Let's take a look at this. Is this something that people should be focused on in the near term, in the long term, at all?
I think that the key part of that phrasing is averse.
It still makes me laugh.
Me too.
Which didn't occur to me till you just said it.
It worked.
It still works.
It does.
And so we definitely got to ask about that. Although the metaverse almost kind of feels like it did go away. And we talked about that with our buddy from Adobe not too long ago. But so just wanted to play those clips. And now for the official reintroduction of Alan Trefler, it is the venerable Paul Greenberg.
Listen, there's not a whole lot more to say about Alan. I love the guy, and aside from the fact he does one thing, and it's probably going to surprise you that I can't fathom how he does it so well, which is like grandmaster level at chess. Since I barely know the names of the pieces. That he's been a fantastic CEO for Pega. He's always and he's a visionary. That's the interesting thing. He's one of the people, and there's not that many who can do both, and he's one of these. He can take a vision, associate the mission, and typically they tend to be somewhat separate. Even if they're supposed to be associated, they operated separately, and it doesn't work well. He takes a vision, associates the mission, and then executes against that combined overview or the outlook, I should say. And it works. As I said, he called it a continuum. I called it a constantly smooth and effective corporate narrative. But he's the man who drives it, and his vision always aligns with the market as it is and is becoming. And that's really the key to a lot of his success. And plus, honestly, he's a funny guy. I mean, he's got Boston sports teams things, but he's such a good guy.
We look the other way on that.
We'll say it's almost forgivable. Almost. It's never totally. So, what can you say? And there he is.
Welcome back, Alan.
Hey, Paul,
How are you?
I'm actually miserable.
Why?
There is so much pollen in the air. Boston has become overrun with birch and oak pollen, which are the trees I'm allergic to. So for this period, leading up to PegaWorld is always an absolutely miserable time of year. And so if I'm grumpy, I apologize. But PegaWorld's so excited, it's got me all jazzed up and ready to go and kick off.
Awesome. You know what, Alan?
Wait. It just occurs to me, then you're the only person in the world probably that going to given birch and everything else, that going to Las Vegas is a relief.
It is. It is. Yeah, going to a place where everything, where there's no actual real vegetation is exactly where I need to go.
It's like a horrible place, but for you, it's like nirvana.
Yeah, but I don't know, because I just looking at the clips from 2021 and 2022, Alan, have you left that room in 3 years?
It's a nice room. What can I say?
It's a safe house, right? He's in a safe house.
But
So,
I am thrilled to be able to go to Vegas June 11 to 13.
Mhm.
The show is going to be amazing, and a lot of what we're going to be able to highlight and actually show live from the main stage for the 4,500 people or so we're expecting is going to, I think, just blow people away in terms of some well, we can go into it, but some very practical, but also some very forward-looking applications of the latest technology.
vision, mission. So we do have to ask you that for question. Customers 1 and 2, are they still 1 and 2?
Absolutely. Both of them are still clients. Obviously, much bigger relationships with much bigger relationships with them. I will tell you, the tech that they're using bears not the slightest resemblance to what we shipped, in 1983 and 4. But my first customers went live on something called a DEC VAX.
Oh my God!
Wow!
And VT102s and IBM CICS.
Holy cow!
The tricky thing. So look, I really love the position we're in. You talked about vision and mission. We've got a whole company of people. You mentioned Dawn. You think about Karim, who runs development, who are just so aligned in terms of what we can do with technology, where we need to go, but share a really, really rich common understanding of what we've seen in the past, the hype cycles that everybody works through and lives through, the metaverse, and ending up about exactly where I predicted, candidly.
Yeah.
We have a real, I believe, way that we can be super effective when it comes to pivoting technology, whether it's pivoting the technology from old style computers to new microservices, Kubernetes-based cloud environments, whether it's pivoting the functionality from the original rule and process orientation we had to the introduction of decisioning and AI and the ability now to use generative to be able to actually fundamentally change the game. Once again, I'm really excited that I think Pega has this terrific mix of heritage and innovation. And I guess, my job and the job of the other leaders at Pega is to make sure we never lose that, to make sure we're always learning.
Can we take a step back because this is the 40th anniversary year of you starting Pega? What does that mean to you?
It means I'm old.
That's pretty much the conclusion I draw on everything too. So I understand.
It's a little bit mind numbing. Our headquarters is at 1 Main Street in Cambridge.
Wow.
1 Main Street.
1 Main Street. So come to the very front of Main Street. We started at the other end of Main Street in Central Square. So you can think we basically worked our way up the street, as it were, plus into 31 other countries. But it's been a fascinating journey. And one of the things I love is that we have people who are brand new and come in and bring us insight and innovation. We're right adjacent to MIT. We have a lot of great stimuli, but we've also got teams that have been around for a long time, have seen the hype cycles, have understood what it means to really deliver for customers, which I think a lot of folks don't appreciate how tricky that is. And I think it's just a great mix. COVID has been hard because we used to love to be able to get everybody together. We've been able to figure out, I think, how to do that well in a virtual environment. But, I think we, like the rest of the world, are in a world of flux.
So 2 questions sort of 40th anniversary related. First one is, to your knowledge, aside from obviously you or any family member, who is your longest standing employee?
So a gentleman named Mike Pyle,
Okay.
who's been with me for over 90% of that, for
Oh my
37
God.
years.
Wow.
And he's due to retire this July. And
Jesus.
it's a real bittersweet moment.
I can't even imagine what that would feel like for him or you. Wow. What does he do now at the company?
He was the head of engineering for a lot of years, and he grew up that whole engineering function. He developed our Indian presence for us. So he was responsible for that, which is now close to 2,000 staff, and is a really important part of how we build and how we think of ourselves as a company here as well. And was just always terrific with both technology and clients. And so I think been a great thought leader. He's English, but we stopped holding that against him a number of years ago.
Well, you had the TPN in 1776. You started holding it against them, right? So.
But we also have people. You mentioned Don and Karim,
yeah, of course.
who runs it now. They've only been around for more than 25 or 30 years. So
the short timers,
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, the newer bees, I would say.
The newer bees. Oh, all right. So the other question. Well, actually, is Mike going to be at PegaWorld? I assume so, right?
I hope so.
If he is, I'm gonna seek him out and shake his hand, man. I am literally gonna meet that guy. I serious. I got it already written down to do it. So, all right. So the other question is, it's 40 years. Was there a period, maybe year 19 or 27 or 4 or whatever, where you thought, oh my God, this is way too, I can't do this, or we're not going to be able to do this? And then when you had that, what was it that turned it around, that allowed it to keep going?
Well, look, if you build a business from scratch, which is how Pega was built, right? Literally crafted from whole cloth. In a world before cloud computing, where you could just go out and get some CPUs, we had to buy our first computer, which was a terrifying thing, to spend hundreds of thousands of dollars on a DEC VAX computer when you don't have any money. Being able to get those first customers, being able to deliver systems. And I think we made some choices that were hard choices, but good ones. One was to be very customer focused, and really focus on perhaps a more limited set of customers, as opposed to selling everything to everybody.
Right.
And to have those customers be ones with what I would describe as sophisticated problems, so that they weren't things that they would be able to just go around the corner and find an alternative to. There were things that they would think, hey, all right, if you can pull this off, Pega, you're going to have to do something special. And we went through all the normal traumas of a business that grinds its way up. The actual acquisition of the product, the creation of the product, the invention of it, the design, the development, the acquisition of initial clients. Given who our clients were, getting them live was a lot of work.
Yeah.
Because we tended to be Pega has always been highly integrated to the transactional systems of a customer, to drive workflows, to automate processes, to make decisions, but really based on a combination of data and processing that exists. So, we I think intentionally chose a market segment that would challenge us. And then just having the relentless determination to overcome all the foibles. But I always had confidence that we would be able to persevere. That was something that, for no logical reason, I firmly believed. And I think sometimes that belief is really important in a founder and the leader of a company.
Yeah, I'd say so.
Yeah.
And you have succeeded. I'll tell you that. You've made quite a name for yourselves, really.
Yeah.
Well, we have a lot more that we're doing. So I don't want this to feel like it's an epitaph.
Oh, no. We're spanning 40 years to get to the present.
Yeah, this isn't the retirement episode of
right. Well, it's Mike Pyle's retirement episode. No, it's now Mike Pyle's retirement episode.
So let me go back. Last year, it's unbelievable. It's only been a year since the metaverse thing, because back only less than a year ago there, nobody was really talking about generative AI. Nobody was talking about large language models. Nobody was talking about chat GPT, and it pretty much swept everything that we were talking about completely out. Are you surprised at the rapid rise of this area, and how people seem to be embracing it in a way that some technologies that we were talking about just haven't been?
So we were aware of the power of it. About a year ago, we created internally a special AI team to do what I would describe as off the edge experimentation on a variety of these technologies, very much including generative. And I can talk about what some of the use cases are that we use it for, because we have use cases that we'll be showing for generative, both in terms of the construction of processes, also with the whole idea of even being able to create treatments, visual treatments that can be generated to put on websites without having to have like general pictures of two smiling young women. You can now create something that really is more specific to the treatment you want. So we were looking at a lot of this, and of course we've been deep in AI with the whole next best action technology,
Right.
which is not a generative technology. So
Right.
I think one of the things to remember is there are flavors of this that I think sometimes people kind of lump together, which is okay at a level, but it's not the way you can really implement and deliver. But yeah, Brent, I was stunned at how quickly this went from something that we were playing with and using to something that it was a topic in most conversations.
So there was an interesting discussion at ServiceNow at Knowledge 2023 on they were talking about how they're going to use Gen AI and also what they've done and so on. And one of the points they made, which I literally had not heard anyone else make, was you don't always need a large language model, right? Sometimes a small language model is just fine, right? And they went through how they went through their specific take on it and how they're using this, and they've grown their industries a great deal. So they're doing a lot related specifically to industries. But I'm curious as to Pega's specific, like, what is it that you're able to say now that I know some things will be announced at PegaWorld, but that you're able to say now that you're doing that kind of I don't want to call it unique to you, but it's part of your, you're making part of your DNA.
Sure. Well, relative to the comment about large language models, the reality is there is a whole continuum of use cases for which different models are more or less appropriate, and different types of AI are more or less appropriate. One of the problems ChatGPT has is it's really not very good at math. So that even simple math things, you'll find that actually just hallucinates and make mistakes. But there's a whole and the pace of change in this is so fast, with literally every week something fairly meaningful being released by one of the, I'd say dozens, but it's probably hundreds of companies or groups that are working on these. You can look at, there's a model called Vicuna we've been playing with a lot, which is meaningfully smaller than ChatGPT, but almost as good and way faster in terms of being able to do this. You can now have models. You're going to have models that are going to be able to actually fit in their entirety on your phone, right? Wow. Which, if you think about it, suddenly opens up a whole variety of other use cases where you might not have continuous or good connectivity to be able to do things. So I think for a company to be flexible about this is critical. And when we built, and we're going to be showing for we changed the way we describe our releases. Starting this year, our release this year is going to be 23, as in 2023. And the 23 release has this really cool facility in it where you can configure which models you want for which purposes. So if there's a collection of models that are available, maybe some from us, some third parties, I think what we're going to see, I know what we're going to see with our particularly large customers, is they're going to have their own private models to protect the data that they care about, that a customer can pick for each of the uses. And I'll give you some use case examples, which model it goes to. Does it go to the absolute best, hugest of models that might have a touch more creativity, or does it go to something that is super fast, can do a very different scale, but is amply good to, for example, tweak the text of an ad? If that makes sense.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah. One of the things that we've been seeing at a lot of these events are these partnerships with companies like NVIDIA and AMD, where because of the intense processing power it takes to kind of be able to analyze all this information that's coming out and aggregate it, you're seeing the enterprise software vendors working with these chip manufacturers. Do you see anything like that for Pega coming up, or is that something you guys are starting to look at?
No, absolutely not.
Okay.
We're very happy that the place we want to run our models are going to be some combination of Google, AWS, and Azure. And I'm perfectly happy to let them worry about the optimization with NVIDIA. And for us, in the way that we do it, to give both us and our customers the chance to cherry pick who's best, at this time, and go out to the right one. So I think part of being effective in business is deciding what you have to vertically integrate and what you don't have to. And we vertically integrate business rules. We have the center-out architecture to really help companies focus on their clients and insulate them from all the vagaries of the back end. We have a pretty good chunk we focus on, but I try to strip out everything that we don't add special value focusing on. And I don't think talking to a chip manufacturer is going to do much for our clients.
Okay, well, so let's on the discussion of the averse, we actually have been talking when I think we were at Adobe, right?
Yep.
And we did some basically ad hoc watch parties, and at one watch party we had Adobe's chief futurist and the chief metaverse officer of PwC on. And Brent raised the question, well, nobody's talking about it anymore. And they were actually both glad.
Yeah.
Right. The reason they were glad was that now we can actually do the work that it takes to get what we can, get this working, because we're not just trying to do cool AR and VR or things like that. We're actually trying to work on some business use cases where this does become valuable. So given your comment last year, given their comments now, what do you think of that?
I think that they're right. People forget that the basic precepts of AI that is now blowing up everybody's mind. Frankly, when I was at Dartmouth 45 years ago, we were working with neural nets.
Yeah,
we were doing things that are shockingly aligned with what happens now. The difference is, obviously, we knew a lot less. The computers were smaller, but it can take a long, long time for some of these technologies to, cross the threshold of being, highly effective and usable. And I would tell you the metaverse most certainly requires that time.
Exactly.
I don't know if it's going to require the same number of decades,
Right.
but I guarantee you, in my mind, if I were to bet, it's not the next 10 years. So,
Yeah.
So it's safe to say you're still averse, in other words.
I think that prediction proved to be prescient.
Yeah, no, you were literally on the money, so to speak. And okay, so speaking of averse, this is a Landsman to Landsman question. I want you to know. Okay,
I don't even know what it is. What's a Landsman?
Landsman means a fellow person of the Jewish faith.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
I know where this is going.
Yes, you do know what it is.
While you're doing that, I'm just going to take a bite of my blueberry bagel sandwich.
Yeah, that's my question. What do you think of blueberry bagels? You don't have to be polite about it.
I actually like blueberry bagels.
Oh my God! You know, we have to expel you from the tribe.
Yes.
I'm so sorry.
And I'm from Boston. I mean, there's so many reasons.
Yeah. Well, no, Boston, you can skate, but liking blueberry bagels.
A little bit of look.
What kind of
Brent
monster are you?
He looks so healthy. He gets his antioxidants.
You know what's a great idea for that? Blueberries. Not blueberry bagels. I mean,
feel vindicated.
He literally went to a place that has plain cinnamon raisin and blueberry. That's it.
There you go.
Yeah,
Einstein bagels.
How
baby.
can Einstein brothers 8 million airport stores, right? I mean,
is that a Salesforce subsidiary now?
Okay.
Well,
all right.
No, I don't think they would. I don't think they'd deign to carry a blueberry.
Let me just
bagel.
say, on the record, I feel vindicated. Thanks, Alan.
Alan,
but I want to
I've known you so long, and you've disappointed me for the first time.
I want to go to a conversation that actually took place in the CRM Playaz happy hour. Or what's the official name of that thing?
Oh, it's the it's the CRM Playaz most incredibly effervescent hour.
See why I don't know how to say that, Alan?
We started with happy hour, then it went to happier hour.
Happy hour
evolves. It's 3 years old now. So
yeah. So
you didn't go to a meta happy hour.
No.
I'm kind of averse to that, but anyway,
not happening.
So we got into this really interesting conversation. Of course, it's an AI thing, I guess, a generative AI thing, but it kind of started going towards this idea of, we're coming up on this presidential election. There are so many hot topics that people are really concerned about, things like, climate change and gun rights and all sorts of things. But should we also be asking these politicians who want to become president how they plan to handle the regulation, or possible regulation around these technologies, because of the power and the scale and the scope that things like generative AI have? And should we actually be trying to get their policy stance on things like that, in addition to some of these other things? I just wondered.
I would recommend that for this next election, we try to focus on what I would describe as core values and willingness to work together as a country. I would not expect the presidential candidates to candidly be able to put forward, cogent positions on what's a really hard topic. I mean, this car has left the garage, and it is going so fast, and I have fewer dire predictions than some people, but it does have the ability to take some of the things that many of us have already given up, like privacy, and repackage them in ways that could be very personally offensive. And some of it's dangerous, involving fraud risk and stalking.
Yeah.
Some of it is going to be awesome for entertainment, but it's going to be a mixed bag.
Yeah.
Here.
I mean, honestly, look, I mean, I've lived 73 years, and every time I see a technological advance of substance, there's literally that mixed bag. It's never not, because human beings are human beings, and some do good and some do nefarious things, and some do both, and they do, and ultimately, and I am firmly in the camp that AI, generative AI, any variant of AI is a tool, right? It's not a sentient being. It's a tool, right? And they are. I know that, like, for example, Adobe and Microsoft are very careful the way they name it. It's Copilot, right? And the thinking, I mean, there's, as quote, messagey, markety as that may be, it's actually obviously a very carefully chosen word with a lot of implications behind it. They're not saying, Skynet. It's not called Microsoft Skynet, right? It's called Microsoft Copilot, right? And Adobe's same. And ServiceNow, actually, I forgot what they call it, but the sentiment is these are things that will aid us in what we do, right? And that's at least foundationally, that's the desire, and that's what people would like to see it do. To your point, people have their own, people using it have their own purposes for using it, right? And their own jobs they want to accomplish using it. And some of them are not good people, right? So ultimately, that's where we still differ from AI, right? One of my favorite quotes ever was from Richard Socher, who ran MetaMind, which got acquired by Salesforce, now runs U.com. And he's doing he's doing generative AI with U.com too. And when he was at Salesforce, he was addressing analysts one time, and Brent and I were there, and he said, the thing about AI is it doesn't want anything. Right. Which is, and he's, and now, of course, you hear the people who are really into sentience here. Well, are you sure about that? Right. And I understand what they're saying, but I look, ultimately AI is directed, right? It's directed by something or someone or some.
Yeah. The trickier, and you're going to see this more and more going forward. So this stuff is going to continue to move at a staggering pace. And
Yes.
Some of the more interesting, more powerful and more concerning type things are, for example, when you can pair AI, you can position AI in conjunction with workflows. Because instead then of doing things that are more transactional, you can do things that in fact have a preponderance of steps. And what if those workflows themselves can be influenced or configured with the use of AI? I mean, one of the features we're showing at PegaWorld that is candidly mind-blowing is you can actually, and as a parlor trick, you can do this with voice, though the real thing is just the same as typing. You can basically go to a system and say, design the process and workflow for lending to mid-market customers. And you put that into the Pegasystem, we go and we take that and we go out to OpenAI or another preferred generative player. We say, okay, if you're doing a loan for small business, what do the data structures look like? What should we call the process? What are the stages you go through in that process? Who will be the participants? Who are the personas that will be involved? And what channels? We go through all the logical steps that you take when you're crafting a workflow system, a Pegasystem. And we then put that into our model, the generative AI. We don't just write code. I think the people who are going directly from prompts to code are not going to get very far. But I think what we're going to do is going to get us way farther, because we're able to go from this sort of even iterative prompting to putting it into a model that a person can see and say, oh boy, you've basically fully configured to me this process, the stages, the steps, the edits, what the data would look like. I don't like that. I'm going to change that, and I'm going to change that. And then from the model, we execute. We make the decisions. We run the system. That is game changing in terms of both making implementations faster, but it doesn't introduce the question of how do you candidly control it? Because what you wouldn't want to do is just have that sort of run.
So
My
when
wife-
you're hi Mrs. Trefler. So when you
By the way, she
What?
just told me she has a blueberry bagel for me.
no,
All
she didn't.
right, there it is. Fully vindicated now. All right.
We'll be cutting
You'll be in
this
touch.
out of the
No,
show.
this is
will be
this is instantly becoming a clip that we.
I guess
think,
no. I'm
I
about to
think
say
I think, Brent, we should consult with OpenAI on how do we gradually convert somebody who has a pathological.
All right. Well, let me put it this way, Alan. What football team do you root for?
I would say, sadly, the Patriots.
Okay. So Brent, here's what I wanted.
My joy, you just snatched all my joy, right?
I totally did.
From bagel
And that
joy
was
to Patriots.
So New England Patriots fans love blueberry
Oh,
bagels.
no.
Easy connection to
All right, let's move on. So,
All
Alan,
right.
so what people should be looking forward to, like getting out and coming to PegaWorld for the first time in 4 years?
Well, you know, I'm always amazed at how much energy there is. And to my mind, this is really about customer stories. Customers who have something to say, something to ask, want to actually talk to other honest to God practitioners. And that is huge. Those informal discussions, you know, those are things candidly you really lose in the virtual world that are absolutely central to how you operate in a setting like PegaWorld. And we've organized it to very much promote that. You know, we've got brilliant keynotes. They're going to be presentations by Citibank, Aflac, Rabobank, Virgin Media, you know, Siemens, Wells Fargo. It's, if you go to the PegaWorld site, and the thing I'll say that I've always really tried to stress at PegaWorld is that we want to be content rich. We don't want to be one of these companies that just goes up and, you know, hear what the vision is of this company. No, we want to know what they're doing. We want them to be able to say what went wrong. You know, we want them to deal with the realities of business these days, which is hard. You know, the other thing that is enormously exciting is we've got over 100,000 square feet of what we call the Innovation Pavilion, where we'll have over 200 stands where engineers and some of our partners will be also demoing real things right in your face. Around generative AI, around how you do automation, how do you do next best action decisioning, how do you do things that are going to work in a Kubernetes technical cloud environment, if you want to go on the geek side. All of those people are there, and it's a wonderful clearinghouse for ideas. By the way, we get an enormous amount out of that, because for us to be able to listen to this stream of clients as they look at what we're doing, they talk to us, and they talk to each other. It's like you know, client advisory group in multiple dimensions. So those sorts of interactions, Brent, I think what makes it worthwhile. I know no one loves, you know, well, some people love going to Vegas.
People are allergic to birch. People are allergic to birch and oak.
I do appreciate that part, but you know, we have like the Australian government flying up, and I guarantee you, for the government to get approval to come to Vegas is a number of hurdles. Plus, it's a little bit of a distance. But you know, this will be truly a global reach event. And you know, it's not the same if you're not there. You know, we'll stream some sessions, we'll show off some of the great things that clients are willing to talk about, but it's that dynamic of being around the generative AI as it's working, talking to the people who make decisions about what to do and what not to do. You know, you just can't beat that.
Well, I'll tell you, one of the things that I've always loved about PegaWorld was the quality of the customers telling the stories right on stage. If I'm picking a number one in terms of just customers presenting, you're it, without a doubt. I still have that that memory of those two best buddies from San Diego. One was from San Diego, and then the group hug with you at the end, right? I still remember that.
They were the Dutch guys.
Right. That's right. Both Dutch. They were incredible. I mean, that's aside from the fact that they had a very clear both love of Pega and deep knowledge of the product, which they made clear. That they were operating like a stand-up comic and a straight man, the two of them, because they're best buddies, right? I actually met the guy who called for the hug, and we talked about hugging for about 15 minutes. But
so those two guys, one of them is the now the CEO of a major bank in the Netherlands, and the other runs tech and ops for Wells. So
unbelievable.
This didn't do anything bad for their careers to come.
Are they?
Not that I'm responsible.
Look, the thing I think you guys have recognized. Look, there's a thing about events, especially live events, which is a year from now when somebody says, "Were you at PegaWorld?" and they say, "Yeah." You said, "What was it about?" I said, "I don't remember, but I had a great time." But that great time actually is goodwill to the company that lasts for 12 months, and it actually impacts decisions, right? And I believe me, I've looked at it. Look, I will be at a conference, or I'll even watch one virtually or whatever. But one way or the other, it could be a very well-run conference, be very competent, capable, professional, done, effectively. But there's nothing particularly entertaining about it. It's and then the corporate culture suffers for that, because in your case, Don's been the MC most of the time. I don't know if he's doing it again or not, but the guy has aside from, again, being long time and deep, and knows how to present on Pega, he has, obviously being a former improv comic himself, he has the opportunity he's funny, and those things matter, because enjoyment, fun, and it's not the band you have, it's the feeling that people have throughout the conference. You guys choose the customer. I still remember when you were making the transition from BPM to customer experience. You're that what was the bank, Lloyd's, I think it was it? Was Lloyd's? You had that woman from Lloyd's, and she gave a spectacular presentation that literally defined your corporate narrative within it, from that, and how the transition would work. And you've always had customers like that, and I'm presuming we'll see more of that this year. And I'm very excited about it.
I can guarantee it. It's not by accident. Our team who sets this up, including Don, do a terrific job.
Yes.
Of both selecting the clients, talking to them so they understand that they've got to be content rich and what that means, and the customers are just awesome. And then of course, there's also, I'm going to be playing 15 or 20 people at chess on Tuesday.
Nice.
You are 15 or 20 people?
Yeah, I'm doing a simul.
Oh my God. Okay, so Brent, there's a comment from, I think, Bob Fagel on move in chess. I don't know what I can you put that up? And I want to ask Alan what the heck that is. Yeah, there it is. I can see it. It's Shirov's jaw-dropping bishop sacrifice.
Oh, I thought that was some kind of spam thing.
I think that's a chess move. I think.
Oh, okay. Let me.
Right. So,
well, it's one that I'm going to have to Google. I don't know that game, but I bet if I Google that, I'll find it. Or he could stick a link to the game in the chat also.
I thought that was some kind of weird spam or something. I didn't know.
No, that's actually I know that has something to do with a chess match or move. Well, I don't know which.
Here's some other spam. Elizabeth Italiano says she's with you on the Blueberry
My
Bagel.
Radiant 6 buddy, man. I've known her since the Radiant 6 days.
And
Donnie is another one here on.
I guess boy means he's with you.
Exactly right.
All right.
I'm not adverse to taking a controversial position.
We love your aversions, Alan. They really hit home.
Well, again, it's easy for me to write it off because you're a Patriots fan. So you made one bad choice already, right? So,
all right, Alan, we really appreciate you doing this this year. Awesome. Definitely looking forward to shaking your hand in person in Vegas in a month or so. Right?
Less than a month. Less than a month.
I know.
And tell your audience if they haven't registered, they should come. It'll change their lives.
And, all right, where can they go to learn more about?
You just go to PegaWorld.com.
Easy enough.
And to those of you who are listening, I do highly recommend that you do register, and if at all possible, come. And if you can't, watch the virtual parts of the event too. Are the keynotes being live streamed, or are they going to be on delay?
There'll be, I think some are live streamed, some are delayed. The
Okay.
breakouts are going to be delayed.
Yeah.
But
Okay.
the thing you can't duplicate is that innovation center.
Yeah.
That experience. There's no way to get that without being there, candidly.
Well, we will be doing a number of live streams. I believe they're live streams anyway from PegaWorld. So maybe we'll work it out with you guys, but maybe we can do something from the Innovation Center.
Oh, it's a great idea. Yeah, a great idea.
Yeah.
Great idea.
Okay.
Awesome.
Cool.
All right, Alan, thanks again, and we'll see you next month.
Yeah, take care, guys.
Yeah,
Thanks.
group hug. Group hug.
All right.
As
That was
always,
cool. It's
man.
always fun.
Always.
Always
He
fun
is
to-
like he might be my favorite guest always. I just love him.
Well, he always finds a way to make us laugh by just being himself, and that's
Yeah, he's
I
got a
just love
great sense of humor. He's really, really. I mean, look, he's been a tremendous, pioneer and CEO for a long time in the industry, and at the same time, I just really like him. I don't know, it's like I just like the guy.
despite his preference for blueberry bagels, apparently. So that's
Yeah, well, he's a Patriots fan.
all
It's
right.
easy enough to make that association.
So we're at the end of a long week. You need to go get some sleep
That'd be
because we
good.
got to go to Denver next week, and you just
I'm
came-
looking forward to that now. At first when we were doing it, I love pros, and I think you know that, and I love Andre. I love the CEO of Pros is arguably one of the nicest human beings I've ever known, and a great CEO also. And it's got old dear friends of ours like Michael Wu is there, John Bruno's there, and they're a good company with a great culture. And we have the opportunity to do a live streamed several sessions at their event. So we're flying out to Denver, and these are the two that we are doing. There might be another one, we don't know yet. We'll see how that evolves, or maybe we'll come up with something a little more, a little diverse from a direct interview with these kind of leaders there. But it's going to be fun. The thing with Pros, this is very different than most of these. These are much smaller conferences, but they have this deeply, deeply, deeply collaborative and dedicated customer base.
Yeah.
And the friendship level is just super high at these events. So it's always a treat to see an environment where it's basically a mutual admiration society.
And might I add, this promo really looks like Vegas, doesn't it? I mean, I have to pat myself on the back a little bit because it looks like we're going to be doing like a live show, not just a live show.
Except for one thing, it's in Denver.
Well, that's true. Why you got to point that out? Jeez, I was on a roll. All right, there it is. We will be in Vegas the week of June 11th.
Yes,
because PegaWorld, and we're kind of doing a CRM Playaz Vegas residency week as we spend the week in Vegas, first at PegaWorld, and then Variant. What is theirs called again?
Engage.
Variant Engage. So we got PegaWorld, Engage, Vegas, Playaz. Is Wayne Newton going to be there with us, or
I do not doubt. Maybe
he's scary looking at this point.
I know. Maybe Celine Dion or something. I have no
wow.
idea. Or we could go see what's his name? Terry Fader and his puppets.
I don't know, but we will see Adrian.
Oh, awesome!
We will see Adrian. So there it is.
That will be amazing. All right, Adrian.
So on that note, I guess it's time to wrap it up.
Yes, sir.
On behalf of Alan Trefler, I'm Brent Leary.
I'm Paul Greenberg.
We are the CRM Players, and I can't end without Minnie.
There she is, our girl.
Now we can go. See ya.
Bye.